know that we're trying to build is a platform to provide both information and also, if necessary, some coaching via text. So not super involved. This is not a clinical sort of interface, but just to talk to somebody that can help guide and structure the way that you think about being a little bit anxious or a little bit stressed out about work or about relationships or things like that. Those are the kinds of things, and our mutual goal with this platform is to be able to make this accessible to a large number of people who are experiencing this sort of pandemic-related stress and even beyond that. So, I think the better that you can do that, whether you're interfacing and accessing tools in a digital platform, or you are doing the things in your day-to-day life to help reduce that is sort of the first step in really being able to get a good sense of what mental well-being is.
A lot of great insights, Dr. Scott and Venus. Thank you for your valuable time and joining us for this segment on supporting mental wellness for our children during the pandemic. A big shout out to our super awesome audience for joining us on AIA Live. I hope this session has inspired, informed, and motivated you in some way to better appreciate the impact of mental health in these very challenging times. It is also my hope that we have left you with some valuable tips on how we can cope better as parents, friends, and friends of the youth, as well as for our kids, particularly those with special needs. Stay positive, stay safe.
Parting the clouds.
There's not many clouds today. But we're going to part them anyway.
Yeah, you see? So you came down here, you put your hands like this. Now you want to go back, you see? You put your hand like that onto each other. Now you breathe in, going back like that with your back. And you let your hands come back by itself. You see, the movement is done by itself. You see?
I like that one.
Yeah, this is very useful.
I like this one. It's useful for me.
You breathe in, and now you just open your arms, let the arms come down and come to the front. This is very good.
I like this one. I'm good at that one.
It's very good, really. It's very good for you.
Welcome to all of you who have joined us today for the AIA Live 2021 Environmental Wellness Dialogue. My name is Jessica Chiam, founder and managing director of Eco-Business, and I'm delighted to be your host and moderator today. Now, the topic for today is an exciting and timely one. I think we all acknowledge now that climate change poses various threats to the health and well-being of humanity. The increased impacts of extreme weather events, rising pollution, infectious diseases, and changes in food security affects both the physical and mental health of billions across Asia. As the issues around climate change gain wider attention, it is also starting to impact people's well-being. A growing stream of studies have looked into how people's emotions and life evaluations depend on environmental factors, including temperature, air pollution, infrastructure, and natural disasters. There is therefore an urgent need to inspire collective action, especially among the youth, who will be our leaders of tomorrow. We thank AIA for organizing this important discussion, and we have very distinguished speakers to share their perspectives with us today. And I'd like to introduce them now. They are Mr. Renzo Guinto, Associate Professor, Practice of Global Public Health, Inaugural Director of the Planetary and Global Health Program at the St. Luke's Medical Center, College of Medicine. We have Mr. Tim Jarvis, an explorer, environmental scientist, founder of the Fork Tree Project, and AIA Vitality Ambassador, Australia. We also have Ms. Zhang Tingjun, co-founder of the Chain Reaction Project. Thank you so much, speakers, for joining us today. I'd like to move to the topic of environment and well-being, because this is obviously something very important, and the link between human health and well-being and our environment is super critical. Tim, I'd like to come to you. You're leading this very important project called the Fork Tree Project. Can you tell us more about it and the role that it's playing in environment and well-being?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk about the Fork Tree Project. I could talk at great length, but we'll try and keep it very succinct. But the idea basically is to rewild an old pastoral property here in Australia, and in so doing, have it serve as an example to other people on the land as to what is possible for all of the health benefits, both mental and physical, that it brings for people, as well as, of course, the benefits to mitigating climate change through the carbon that the trees and plants sequester, as well as providing a sort of refuge for Australian biodiversity, which, of course, unfortunately is in free fall. We have the highest rates of species extinction in the world, bar none, here in Australia, which is not something to be proud of. So I am very proud, however, to say that AIA are supporters of Fork Tree. It's wonderful to have their support, and like I say, the name of the game really is not only to rewild the land, but to show others what is possible, be an educational resource and a repository of some of those rare species that are otherwise under real threat here in Australia, so that other landowners can follow suit and take our guidance really as a way forward.
That's really interesting, Tim. Do you have any advice, I suppose, for other people who are looking to kind of reconnect with nature or to help rewild, areas of the environment across the world?
Well, I think my first bit of advice is, think about the way you live, the way we travel, the food we eat. As Renzo said before, meat consumption has both repercussions for us physically in terms of things like cancers, for example, but also, of course, has broader repercussions for the environment. Interestingly, 50% of the habitable land on the planet is actually given over to agriculture, and 75% of that is for grazing the animals that we consume. So very evidently, there's a huge amount of pressure on the planet posed by us wanting essentially to consume meat. And of course, they are, without going into detail, big methane emitters. In fact, a cow has a bigger carbon footprint than a family car driven 40,000 kilometers a year. So it gives you an indication of what we're sort of up against. So I think, the way we live is something we can all, change for the better. The energy we consume, the food we eat, how we travel, the way our money is invested. But then in terms of spending more time in nature, I think it's a case of just getting out there and going and looking to find it. I think all intuitively we understand that you feel better, mentally and physically when you spend more time outdoors.
Absolutely. I think this pandemic has forced us to rediscover the nature and the places around us where we are, and I think that's a very relevant point. Ting Jun, I'll come over to you. I mean, you were mentioning your work as a medic, and obviously, the well-being of humans and mental health, is very closely linked to the environment. What are your thoughts on this?
Obviously, Singapore is in a region that's very prone to vector-borne diseases, right? I think Lorenzo mentioned earlier, and things like dengue are on the rise, and I think as much as a lot of attention has been placed during the past couple of years on things like COVID, there are a lot of other underlying issues that have also, I think, been getting steadily worse, right? Decreasing. And I think that we do see some of that. It's not yet something I would say is hugely prevalent. I wouldn't say, suddenly in our ambulances, we're seeing all of these people that are directly suffering from the effects of climate change. No. But when you talk about things like pollution, definitely when we have a lot of that haze that blows over during the burning seasons in the region, we definitely see a lot of allergy issues kicking up, conjunctivitis, people with breathing difficulties. Again, with the elderly, breathing difficulties is something that could be a death sentence sometimes for some people who may be prone to other respiratory illnesses. So we are definitely seeing that, and even down to the level as a medic in an ambulance for sure. Yeah.
I want to turn to Renzo. You mentioned this phrase, eco-anxiety, which is something that's quite real and gaining traction globally. And it's this sense of helplessness, right? That we are living in an age where we are seeing rapid, deforestation, extinction, extreme weather pattern events. And it's very easy to feel helpless because unless you're at the top of the chain where you're making massive decisions, very often it just feels like you're bearing the brunt of it. So, what is your thought on eco-anxiety? How do we even begin to help people address this?
I agree. It is a pretty new concept. And in fact, I think we scholars should, study it more. For instance, in settings like, Southeast Asia, Singapore, Philippines, how does eco-anxiety manifest in these kinds of settings, especially when the anxiety brought about by climate change is not based on what you see on television, but what you are actually already experiencing, for example, in a country like the Philippines, which is one of the most vulnerable countries in the world to climate change. And we need to document and to investigate how this manifests in this part of the world. But also we need to find, the solutions, the interventions that will not just reduce the anxiety, but also will help us channel the anxiety into something more productive, into something more positive. And you mentioned a while ago about the surge of eco-activism in Singapore. How can we turn the eco-anxiety into eco-activism, right? I think that is a challenge, and I think different sectors can play a role in it. Providing the platforms, the enabling environment, the opportunities for people, for everyday people, for young people to actually again convert that anxiety that they're facing and experiencing into something more productive, such as eco-activism.
I would like to thank all our speakers for such an insightful and exciting discussion. You've been listening to AIA 2021 Environmental Wellness Dialogue, and with me is Mr. Renzo Guinto, Mr. Tim Jarvis, and Ms. Zhang Ting Jun.
Hey guys, I'm here joined with these awesome coaches. We've got Sean and Shannon, the global Spurs coaches with me today. And it is a 60-second challenge. Are you guys ready for this?
We're ready.
I'm calling this one a lend a hand challenge.
Sounds interesting.
You're going to lend each other your hands. I'm going to show you guys how to make what's called biang biang noodles. Have you guys got a challenge for me?
Yes, so our challenge, just to keep you, heart racing a little bit, we're going to do some jumping lunges.
Jumping lunges?
Yeah, so 60 seconds,
yes.
Heart's racing, legs working, arms working.
Legs and arms?
Legs and arms. We're going for the whole body.
Show me how that works.
So, jumping lunge.
Okay.
So right or left leg forwards,
yeah.
And it's just a jump, 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 jump. As many as you can in 60 seconds.
So, your noodle dough. I've kept it really simple, a simple noodle dough. You're going to roll this out nice and flat. So you roll it out like so. And you're going to roll it to about sort of your hip width. And once you're there, the rest of the work will come from your awesome teamwork. After that, you can either take a chopstick or a cutter, anything you like really, and you sort of draw a line with your chopstick by pressing down into the dough. So you pick this up, and I've got one hand on one side, and it's sitting on my palms, with my thumbs just slowly sort of pulling this out and flicking and banging those noodles across like so. So ideally, you want to then take from the middle, poke that through, and just pull that noodle apart, and you can see how long my noodle is. Your challenge is you're going to be the right hand, and you're going to be the left. 3, 2, 1, go.
Right, cylinder shape, yeah? Yeah? This is ready.
Roll it out.
Oh, look, I'm doing a great job already.
Good job, good job.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Sean boy?
This is a lot more time than I thought.
Yeah? But hang on, now you need to put the halfway line in. Yeah, you put the halfway line in. It's a bit of a dodgy halfway line.
That's not a very good halfway line.
No, it's not very good.
I swear that's cheating.
Sometimes you play on a Sunday league pitch, you don't get the right halfway line.
No way.
You have to make it.
Anyone got VAR in there? Right, come on, I'll take left hand.
Okay.
And we have to...
Right, you're going to have to bang at the same time,
Right,
guys.
ready?
Bang. Bang.
I'm losing it. Wait, I'm losing it.
You're not yelling.
No.
Bang. 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 Bang.
Oh, wait, I'm very close. I'm broken.
Come on, let's do it.
Okay, wait, hang on, ready?
Bang.
Yeah. So what can we do? Right, go on, Matt, next bat's yours. 3. Put the halfway line in.
2, 1. We're going to cook these up, okay? And we'll boil them for about 60 seconds, and then we'll do a little dressing with some salad over the top.
Lovely.
We're going to make up a quick sauce. Just some ginger, garlic, and spring onion. And then we're going to add some chili oil, some light soy, black vinegar, and a little bit of dark soy. And then I've got some avocado oil here, black sesame seeds. That'll coat the noodles nicely. And then your noodles, straight over that. Give them a mix. They're looking lovely.
Lovely.
Yeah, get all that stuff over the top.
That's it.
good.
Look at that.
That
Yes.
looks delicious. Now, you could just eat them like that, but we want to make it nice and healthy. So we've got whatever you want, really. I've got some daikon, some radish, carrot, cucumber. Have a little taste. Tell me what you think.
That is so tasty. That is unbelievable.
So what we've learned, guys, is no matter whether we're on the pitch or in the kitchen, teamwork makes a massive difference and makes it a whole lot more fun.
Nutrition is a critical part of our health, development, and longevity. Better nutrition strengthens our immune systems and lowers the risk of non-communicable diseases such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease. People with adequate nutrition are more productive, and healthy children learn better. Celebrity chef Jeremy Pang from the School of Wok teams up with AIA ambassador Marika Day, a dietitian and nutritionist. Look at how they cook a plant-based recipe that they believe everyone will love. Plus, is good health something you're born with? AIA Medical Director Dr. Mura and AIA Health and Wellness Advisor Dr. Robert Green tell us more about the role of genomics in our health journey.
During lockdown, one of the biggest sort of family frustrations was how we keep the kids entertained. And Theo, my 4-year-old, my first child, he couldn't go to nursery. We were working from home and, you know, I was in the office pretty much, you know, for most of the day. But we didn't want him to just be watching TV all day. My wife, when she had time, she would take him out to the park and things like that. But I also wanted to do something different with him. So I decided to try and combine sort of my lunchtime breaks that I otherwise wouldn't have had with my passion and sharing that passion with Theo. For those of you who've seen my videos online, you probably would have noticed that I love dumplings. So I decided to make some dumplings with Theo. His favourite vegetables were carrots, cucumber, celery. So I just chopped all of those up with the normal ingredients, a little bit of ginger, garlic, spring onion. And I knew, without even really asking him, that he would enjoy the inside of that dumpling. What do you think this is?
Fish.
Fish. Do you like fish? Like with most of the cooking in lockdown with Theo, we do this outside. Being outside helps to lift our creative juices. It makes us really sort of like want to do something slightly differently. So we start making the dumplings. Suddenly Theo just says to me, no, Daddy, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to make a giant dumpling. And so he just starts taking one pastry after the next, and kind of like piecing them together like a puzzle. I thought, actually, you know what, Theo, you've got a point here. This kind of works. And he starts sort of pressing the sides, and I was actually, let's press a bit harder, and let's see if we can get that to really stuck together so we can make one big pastry, Theo. Let's go for it. And we're sort of spurring each other on, which is a really lovely thing to do, because then it doesn't end up being me just teaching my son something. It was more my son guiding me, also learning his own independence. The world's largest dumpling. So my top tips for getting your kids involved with cooking or any activity is let them tell you how they want to do it. Let them lead the way. Make sure it's entertaining. Enjoy yourself with them, and allow yourselves to get messy. That way, they will be really creative, and they'll enjoy every single moment of it, and they will, in turn, start to learn to cook good food and eat good food. And what do you like about it? The pastry or the fish?
All the vegetables.
Oh, that's amazing!